So what do you do when you have a Dreamcast, but it's looking just old and nasty and just gross? Well, you turn it into the ultimate Dreamcast. Hey, what's up everyone? Game Dad here, and today starts a new series, and that series is making the ultimate Dreamcast. So in today's video, this is going to be part one. What we are doing is completely disassembling this Dreamcast right here, and we are going to put it into one of these shells. I got a complete crystal clear shell that this thing is going to be swapped into. I'm very excited about that, and we're going to make this thing look super cool and super new. But before we do that, if you are new to the channel or you just haven't yet, please be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, as well as that little notification bell. That way you can alert every time I've got a new video coming out. This will be a multi-part series. We are going to be doing the clear shell on this. We are going to be putting the GDEMU mod. It's the latest revision. We're going to be putting that mod into this, and we are going to be turning this into something that I can definitely, absolutely, legally play all of my Dreamcast ROMs on, including like homebrew stuff. So I am definitely very excited about that, and I can't wait to take you all on this journey. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is get everything disassembled and out of this original shell. So first up, we're going to go ahead and pop off the broadband adapter. That's right there on the side. That just comes right out of there. Now, I don't believe that the kit has a clear shell for this. I think it's just kind of the stopper on the side, but I guess we'll see. So we're going to take that out. That gives us access to all of the remaining screws. So we just take our Phillips head and we just start diving in. Now, I don't recall off the top of my head where all of the different screws are in here, if there's multiple different sizes, things like that. So we are going to make sure that we disassemble these and place them in an order that I can get back to them easily. There we go, got that one. I want to make sure they stay relatively in the same order as they are coming out. That way I can just kind of put them back where they go as I put it all back together. And of course I am using my trusty iFixit kit for this. There we go. That one there. And we got it out. Let's get this one. And these, what's nice, it doesn't require a special bit. They are just Phillips. So that's awesome. Now, I don't remember, is there any kind of thing underneath the big sticker? Oop, something right there. Let's see here. I think that is just a circle that is not a screw. Okay, so let's go ahead and flip this over. It has been a while since I took a Dreamcast apart. There we go, lid is off. And there are all kinds of goodies in here. I don't know what all I'm gonna need out of this yet, so I may have to come back to this when I start putting the clear shell together. So I'm just gonna set that to the side for now. But as you can see here, we have the drive assembly. In a later video, when we get inside of this thing, this whole drive assembly is actually going to come out. I believe it's just a couple of cables, you pop it out, and then the system for the GDEMU will go in its place. So we gotta go ahead and get everything in here taken apart. Now, this doesn't have any kind of cage over it. If you were just using this and you unplugged it, I would be extremely cautious and probably just not even go anywhere near this for at least 24 hours, because these will hold a bunch of power in them. And obviously, you don't want to get electrocuted. So this has been off for days now, so I am not worried about it. But we're going to go ahead and get rid of the screws for this. I don't remember how many are on this. I think it's only 2 for the power supply. We're going to find out right now. Go ahead, undo that one, and nope, something else is holding it. Let's see. Maybe. Oh, there's a little clip on the side right there. So we'll go ahead and pop that out. Again, maybe. There it goes. It does not want to disconnect. There we go. So there's some pins right here that we're going up into this little plug, that Molex connector. Alright, so that's out of the way. That is just a little plastic shield. Now, let's see here. We need to go ahead and get the power switch out. So we're going to get that one out of there. And basically all we're doing is just taking every single part out of this, and then we're just going to swap it over into the new clear shell that I got. I was really hoping they had one of the clear purple ones in stock, but unfortunately they did not. So we just went with a crystal clear instead. I'm going to disconnect the front controller ports, and this has I believe it's 4 screws holding it into the frame. We'll undo the outside ones first. Get in there with my gigantic fingers. Let's see here. There we go, got that one. I don't remember if all 4 are holding in or if it is just the outer 2. We're going to find out right now. I think it's all 4. So now we're going to get this one. There we go. And the last one. Hopefully. There we go. All of those are unscrewed. This should pop right out now. There we go. So that's the controller board. We're going to go ahead and undo its little connector right here. There we go. That is the controller ports. So we're just going to set those to the side. I'll keep them near the screws that they went with. Here is this little plastic plate. And yeah, I can't remove this yet because it is still held in place by the rest of the case right here. Alright, so we're just going to continue taking things apart in here. We're going to get rid of the little fan now. And I'm pretty sure there's actually a fan mod that you can do with this. If I can find it before this series is out, I will replace the fan in this. I know that you can do it with a GameCube, where you can get a much quieter but much more powerful fan to put in here. And that just helps with cooling, which obviously that's a nice thing to have. Okay, so now we are going to work on removing all of this stuff, the disc assembly right here. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. And I don't remember if I can just disconnect right away. Yeah, the disconnect is actually underneath this plastic piece. So what I'm going to do is undo this metal piece that other plastic piece is attached to. So we're going to go ahead and place these kind of how they go. That way I remember where they go later. And these ones, whenever they go back in, you don't really have to worry about cross-threading as much because this is in metal. If it's in plastic, you always want to do that little backup before you go diving into it. That way you don't cross-thread and ruin the plastic. There we go. So we fully disconnected this drive, and I don't think I actually do need to take this part off because I'm pretty sure when I do the GDEMU mod, that this whole thing just comes out and is replaced because it connects into here. We will find that out in a later video though. So I'm going to go ahead and set the drive just out of my way. And now we need to dive in and get rid of all of the other screws holding this thing down. So we're just going to kind of go around the edges here. And I'm going to start unscrewing stuff. So get that one. I'm going to still place these screws relatively in the same location as I unscrew them. Because again, I don't know if any of these will have a different sizing to them. There's been multiple different size screws so far, but anytime it's a different section, they're all the same. So that's kind of nice. Okay, get all these outer ones. Got 2 more of the black screws right here, and then there's a kind of brass looking screw on the sides right here. There's 2 of them. So I'll do this one. Sometimes they don't want to release, that's kind of annoying. There we go, we'll get this one now. Yeah, see, that's a little tiny one now. And we'll get this one. And I have a feeling that is not all the screws to remove this, but let's take a look. Let's see what I can do here. So the whole top I/O shield lifts off fine. And hey, look, it's the inside of a Dreamcast. If you've never seen one, you now have. And did I get all the screws? Yes, I did. So we're going to pop out the board. And then I am also going to pop out this shield right here. It's actually a little bit of a thermal pad right there. I wonder what chip that goes to. I bet it goes to that pad right there because that's what it was sitting on. Alright, so there is that board taken out. Here is this, and I don't think I need this at all anymore now. So I'm going to set this to the side. And it doesn't actually look like I really need to clean the board at all either. It's in pretty nice condition. A little bit of dust maybe, but that is about it. I don't know, let's see, what's this right here? Nope, that's just some goop gluing it down. I thought maybe there's a leak capacitor, but it does not look like it. Awesome. Well, that's good news that I don't have to do anything special with that. But now we're gonna open up this box right here. This is I guess the company is called Retro is Cool. Kind of a generic name. It was just an eBay purchase, and I will go ahead and leave links in the description and stuff like that. But we have the Retro is Cool clear shell. So let's get this out of its baggie. Take that out. And like I said, I don't know how much I'm going to need to remove from the top. It looks like I do not need to remove the gear assembly from the top, so that's nice. Okay, give you a nice little Dreamcast sticker there. We'll go ahead and put that on at the very end. Let me set that out of the way. All right, now, let's see here. Is any of this screwed in? Doesn't look like it. Yeah, so they just give a generic little cover on here. Oh, but actually, hey, I will be able to replace that on the modem. That is very cool, or the Ethernet adapter. So I'm going to set those aside for now. We'll save that for a bit from now. And I'm just going to take this out. We'll set the lid to the side. Set the controller ports to the side. And there is the nice clear shell. So it's got kind of a opaqueness to it. And that is fine with me. Still looks nice in my opinion. Got to set this the right way. And then I'm going to go ahead and drop this heat shield down into place. And that sandwiches down nicely. Now we're going to go ahead and put the board back into place. Just making sure all the little heat pads are there. I'm going to kind of squish this back in. That way it has a little bit of contact. Okay, now move those in. Sandwich this down. This definitely, something is fitting tightly with this. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead, slide that in. There we go. It was not fitting very nicely before. Okay, so it took a little extra finessing. The little peg right here that helps hold it in place was not 100% accurate, so just had to bend it out of the way just ever so slightly. But there we go. Looks like everything is fitting nice and snug. Everything is lined up, and we're ready to start reassembling it. So we're going to go ahead and put that top shield back in place where it goes and start screwing everything back down. So we slide that right there, and all of this should just fall right into place. Famous last words. Okay. Oh, that little peg on the side is being difficult again. There we go. Got that lined up. Awesome. Everything is lined up and good to go. So now I just put all the screws back in reverse order. And these ones, it looks like they do go into plastic. However, this is a new shell, so there isn't really anything to back out because there is no threads yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and screw these right down in. Now, later parts of this mod series, I will need to go ahead and back up a little bit first and then dive in, because otherwise I will cross thread everything in this new shell, and that would be unfortunate. All right, let's get these ones in. There we go. Yeah, so everything is creating fresh new threads. So that also means it's going to have a nice tight fit too, which obviously you want it to actually stay in the console. So we'll get this one in now. And other than that one peg, everything has seemed to line up fairly nicely. So that is nice to see. And as far as retro consoles go, I mean, well, it's retro now. I remember when the Dreamcast first came out and it was very much state-of-the-art. But as far as consoles from this era go, this is actually very easy to work on. It's, as you saw with like the whole drive, it's really just one cable and a couple screws holding it in. Whereas if you work on something like a GameCube, it feels like that thing has over 200 screws to it. It's a ridiculous console to work on. But this one, while it has a lot of screws, they all go in very easy to spot locations, and I mean, they're not like a ton of different sizes. All right, one more. And then we can go ahead and add the disk drive back in, or the disk reader anyways. So I'm gonna make sure this cable is in place nicely. It is, those are all lined up. Okay, and we got to make sure that we get this clear controller port area in as well. Okay, so one thing to note, I kind of made an oopsie on it and had to unscrew some stuff, but in order to put the controller face in, you do have to put it down before this plate because it sandwiches over some pegs in there. So I did have to undo some stuff to get it to fit back in, but no big deal, only took me a minute. Alright, so now from there, what we're going to do is start adding everything else back in. So right here we have our drive. And we're going to go ahead and just line this up and sandwich it down where it goes. Right there, and smush. Alright, so something to note, definitely found another kind of tight spot. There is a peg, a guiding peg on the side right here. It was kind of preventing me from being able to plug the drive all the way down in. So that, again, took some finagling, just like the peg on the other side. But I was able to get it in. I didn't have to tweak it in such a way that it felt really uncomfy making it happen. So, you know, that's nice. But now we need to get the rest of these screws in. So this had 3 screws to it. So we're going to go ahead and put these 3 screws back where they go now. And again, this does not have threads yet, so I'm just diving right in and cutting new threads as I put the screws in. So the screws may be a little tighter the first time that you do this, just because it is cutting into the plastic to make it happen. These ones right here are metal screws, so nothing crazy to worry about on those. They'll just go right back into place. And we got one more up here. And we get that all screwed in. Alright, now that those 3 are screwed in, we're going to go ahead and put the little fan back where it goes. And this just had 2 little lineup spots there. We're making sure it lines up nicely in the case. It's got a little guiding rail on the side here. So we're going to go ahead and put these screws back now. One goes right here. And then the other one goes right on the other side. Definitely the smallest screws of the bunch. Now we can go ahead and put this guy back in. This is the controller ports. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and plug this little side cable in first. I believe that is the power. And then I'm going to just kind of slide these into place, line them up with the controller ports. And once those are in place, now I can go ahead and line up the screws and get those going. So I'm going to start with an outside screw first, just to help kind of tack it down into place. There's no particular order that you need to do them in. I just like to do it this way. That way it's just kind of held in place while I deal with everything else. And we're going to get this one. Alright, now that that is all screwed in, we're going to go ahead and reattach this ribbon cable, because that's what sends the data over. And it is a pressure fit, so you just slam it right down in there and you're good to go. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and run the power switch again. So this one is just going to kind of route down in here. And it lines up with 2 little spots right here. There is no like guiding peg or anything like that. The guiding peg, I guess you could say, would be the actual screw holding it in. So we're going to go ahead and get those screwed in. Okay, so the power switch is back in. Now we're going to go ahead and throw down the little shield that was here. And this is the shield to protect the power supply from all the metal beneath it. We have that power switch cord just routed. And we're going to go ahead and sandwich this in. I believe it has a couple of little alignment pegs to just kind of help it go in, and then you have your actual power pins it's attaching to right down here. You just line those up. It's got all the little holes on the bottom. And then you sandwich this down right over the top, give it a push, and it snaps into the side right there. Our heat shield is in place, and now we can go ahead and plug this power cord back in. It only goes one way. It is a keyed Molex connector, so that is very nice. Now we're going to go ahead and screw in the 2 screws that hold that power board down. So we're going in right here. And then we got one more up in the other corner. Alright, so we have everything together there. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and put this lid back on. And looking at everything in the old lid, this actually comes with, it looks like everything but maybe this piece of foam. But I don't think that piece of foam is actually needed, and it will actually block part of that. So I don't really want that. I am just going to put this on exactly as is. So we're going to just slide that over the top. Let's see, test that. Door opens fine, hits the power button fine, awesome. So let's go ahead and flip this over, and we're going to get all of the screws back into the body now. So we'll just start in the corner, and we do still have the broadband adapter to actually turn clear. So that will be the final step before we put stickers on. All right, there's one corner screw. Let's get another one. And again, these are just the same Phillips screws. You just tighten them down into where they go, and you are good to go. I gotta kind of get a little bit more leverage on this. There we go. Just make sure there's no give in there. What's kind of nice about the clear one, you can actually see where it is. That makes assembly a little bit easier for sure. Okay, now we'll get the two on the other side. So we got one right here for this corner. That's going to go in right there. And you probably can't see it on the camera, but I can see it just fine. It is perfectly showing the screw holes right there, so I know exactly where it's lined up. I know exactly how much further it has to go, and I guess that's just a nice added benefit of the clear shell. All right, one more screw. That goes in right here. And this is the last corner. That's another thing that's kind of nice about the Dreamcast. It's only 4 screws to take the shell apart. That way you can actually get into the system. Alright, so got that last screw in, and I will say I've done a GDEMU mod before, and it is super easy to work on because you just take those 4 screws, pop the top shell off, swap the drive out, you're good to go. And I believe it even works, I think it works between a Saturn and a Dreamcast, so that's kind of cool. Now, before I show all of this, we're going to go ahead, set this to the side, and we're going to work on the little broadband adapter. So this, I believe, is just a couple of screws holding it in. So we're going to go ahead and undo these. Undo this other one. I'm really excited that they actually included that. I thought it would just be like a filler piece that they include. I'm glad to see that this company, Retro Cool Stuff, or Retro is Cool, if that's the real company name, they put a little extra effort into it. That's nice to see. All right. Let's get that shield out of the way. What is holding this thing in? Pressure. Pressure is holding it in. Okay, so that thing was super annoying to put into here. And I don't want to have to deal with that ever again. That was lame. So it's definitely supported in there, but wow, what a tight fit. Okay, let's go ahead and put these screws where they go. That way I never have to look at this thing again. Got the clear part on the adapter, and let's go ahead and sandwich this in, see if it fits nicely. I'm hoping that it does. Let's see here. And there we go. That snaps nicely into place. Alright, now the last thing to do is to put the sticker on. And they apparently included 2 of them. So we can go PAL and do blue, or we can go NTSC and do the orange. And obviously I'm going to do NTSC because that's where I'm at. This is not a PAL console. And ooh, and it's a clear sticker. That's nice. So we're going to go ahead and slap that right down where it goes. Then we're going to peel off its little protective cover. And I'm hoping, if it all comes in time, I also want to do an LED kit on this thing. So, there we have it. That is a clear shell Dreamcast, including the little broadband adapter. So, that was a very nice touch. Very crispy button presses. I'm digging that. Nice slow close, slow open. Power button, extra crispy. That is very nice. And there you have it, everyone. We have freed this Dreamcast from its aging and yellowed plastic prison. And this is a super cool clear shell. Again, I will provide a link to this down in the description if you want to check it out. It's not an affiliate link or anything like that, but very cool. I believe I got this on eBay. And it was not that much. So, and they had a ton of different colors. Again, they had a clear purple, but it was out of stock. So maybe one day I will get the purple, you know, go with the theming of the channel. But this clear one is awesome. And if I'm able to get a proper LED kit for this, well, then I can just make it any color I want. But again, very nice touch. I really like that they had it so that you could add the broadband adapter in clear as well. That way it wasn't going to have an ugly white brick on the side. But awesome. The thing opens nice, closes nice, very nice, solid buttons. The whole controller port is also clear. So very cool, easy to do mod.
Are you tired of using your physical Dreamcast games, or maybe are some of them starting to get worn out because of how old they are? Well, then you're in luck, because today we are doing a very simple mod called the GDEMU. Hey, what's up everyone? Game Dad here, and welcome back to part 2 of creating the ultimate Dreamcast. In part 1, we got rid of that nasty yellow shell and replaced it with this really cool, like, clear translucent shell. And what we're going to do today is actually get the GDEMU mod installed. And what this is it gives you the ability to actually go in and play the ROM files, or I believe in a Dreamcast case it is a CDI file or a GDI file, something like that, but it allows you to play them off of an SD card. Now, the specific kit that I bought actually came with a pre-3D printed little adapter here. That way you're not having to reach down in the console every time you want to reset or swap the SD card. This one actually has a little SD card bay right here, including an extra slot to put an additional SD card in case you're wanting to swap them out. It even comes with a fancy little injection molded Dreamcast button to hit that reset button on the GDEMU. So, let's go ahead and get this Dreamcast taken apart, and I will show you just how easy it is to install the GDEMU mod. Alright, so here we have that clear shell Dreamcast, and first things first, we need to take the little broadband adapter off of it. That way we can get to the final screw on the bottom. So, there are only 4 screws. They are all Phillips, which is very nice, and forgive the painted nails. I have daughters, and I took them out for a daddy-daughter date, and they decided that it would be awesome if Dad painted his nails. So I hope you all like my pink and orange. It will be there until they tell me I can remove it, and if any of you have daughters, then you understand exactly what I'm talking about. So we're going to go ahead and open this up, and just in case Jay is watching, which I'm sure he is, I am using a screw tray this time. Apparently I gave him severe anxiety because I just had the screws strewn about, and I think that's hilarious. But I won't torture him a second time. So we're getting these 4 screws out of the corners. Maybe, there we go. Then we flip this back over, pop off that top. Now I will say, because this is the translucent shell and everything, I actually will have an LED mod coming that will kind of help illuminate this whole thing, make it look kind of cool. And I also have a power mod coming. I have a battery holder mod coming. I have a Noctua fan mod coming. I have all kinds of mods coming for this. So I'll probably end up doing one video where I kind of upgrade all the small little mods all at once. But for now, let's get this top shell out of the way. Now, we don't actually have to touch really anything else in here. All we have to do is take out the actual drive. So we're going to go in right here. There's a screw down on the side. And we're going to get that screw out of there. There's one. Don't worry, Jay. It went into the tray. I didn't put it in any specific spot, but it's in the tray. And another one. And then we got one more right over here. And we throw that one down. Now, this whole thing should just pop right off, in theory. There we go. Now, it just had a little connection right here, and that connection, hey, look at that. Looks kind of familiar, huh? So, now, this is still a perfectly good working drive, and I could easily just swap it back in if I wanted this to be original, but I don't want it to be original, and I don't care. Now, here is the actual mod itself. But before we install this, I have this handy little injection molded thing here. So what I'm going to do is get this all installed. So first we got to drop the little reset button in, and then we take this SD card spot, we slide that in, and basically this is just kind of an extender right here. And then we drop this down. There are two little mounting hole areas here. So we're going to go ahead and get the screws in for those. Luckily this kit, it came with all the screws that I need. I don't have to recycle or find anything else or anything like that. So we'll screw this one down. Now remember, as always, what I always remind everyone of, when you are putting screws back into plastic, make sure you give them a little backup turn. That way you are not cross-threading and creating new threads, because the plastic will very quickly run out. This, however, is new plastic with no threads, so I don't have to back it out first. I'm just kind of going right in there. Now, when I put these back into the actual shell, the actual screws there, those I will have to back them up because we cut the threads in the last video. So now I got to be able to put it back together again without stripping it. So now that that's in there, we got a nice little Dreamcast reset button. We have an SD card slot holder, and I'll show you guys that right there. You just drop that in, holds it nicely. And then we've also got our actual SD card slot. Take that out. Now, all we got to do is put this guy right in here where it goes. It will just kind of sandwich down on there, and actually I'm noticing the ribbon cable for this extender is kind of in the way, so I'm just going to smush this down out of the way a bit. Luckily it is a flexible ribbon cable, so that means I'm not going to damage it by doing this. Okay, there we go. Then we're going to take this. Now, this also did come with some extra supports, and I wasn't sure off the top of my head where they would go, so I wanted to see how this lined up first. So it looks like I need one of the posts in this one right here, and where is that going to line up with? So we put that there. That is going to line up with this hole. There is no way that that is going to go through, but I think this screw will. Let's find out. So it looks like, now if I use this big screw, there ain't no way. It'll probably go into the motherboard if I do that, but let's find out here. So if I push this right here, I have massive hands that are in the way. Okay, it is definitely threaded for that. The instructions, I will say, were not very good, and they were in another language, but they did give this little spacer, so I'm assuming that's so that you do not drive the screw into the motherboard. So we're going to go ahead, drop that down like that, put that there. Yeah, it won't go into the motherboard now. Okay, so I'm going to line this up, smush it down into place. There we go. That's good, it looks like. Maybe. Let's see. There. Line up this screw. Now, I don't know how necessary this extra screw is, because this is the first mod I've ever actually seen of the GDEMU where it has this little screw and spacer like this. So it might not even be necessary, but I mean, it has it, so why not? There we go. That is screwed down in place. Now I will say it doesn't look like this is actually connected very well. But it is lining up, and it is smushed down. Maybe it is connected and it's just my eyeballs. There we go, we got that button in place, and now this will actually fill the gap of where the other piece was. Now they did give some extra parts here, and I'm assuming that's just if you don't use this, but we're gonna go ahead and throw the shell back on and see how it fits. All right, so we put this top shell right over the top like so. And there we go, smushes down. And then if we hit that open button, as you can see, it is very nicely molded into that spot right there. We've got our reset, everything looks good to go. So that's awesome. So now we're gonna go ahead and put the screws back in, and then I will show all of you how to actually get the card formatted, ready to go, and put a ROM on it. That way, or ISO, whatever you want to call it. That way we can have it on there and get this thing up and running. All right, so it is actually pretty easy to go ahead and get going with being able to format this card. And what you want to do is go to gdemu.wordpress.com/links, and on there you will find information about installation, operation, where you can order stuff. They have the 3D printable parts here, and then they even have the different stuff as far as software you can download. Now, what I did was just actually download from the MediaFire link so that I could just get the INI file. So you can see all I've done here is after formatting this SD card, I copied over the INI file, including this O1 folder, and in there that has the CDI file, which is like the boot menu for the GDEMU, and that allows you to get access to extra settings, things like that. And then what you want to do is every time you add a new game is you make, folder 02, 03, 04. So what I did, I threw in Sonic Adventure and then Sonic Adventure 2. And then I also threw in a Tony Hawk game just for, a little bit of variety in there. And now what this does is whenever you load this up into your GDEMU on your Dreamcast, it starts in folder 1, it loads up their menu, and then from there, that menu reads the subsequent folders and allows you to play the games off there. And oftentimes it will even be pulling down artwork and everything else. Now, there are different softwares you can use that, kind of make this a more streamlined process, but honestly, this was super easy. I just created a folder and I dragged the CDI file into it and it's good to go. And then all you do is just plop this into your GDEMU in your Dreamcast and you are off and playing. So it's a very simple process. Anyone can do this very easily, and I will have the link to this site in the description down below.
Select a character.
Let's get him!
So there you have it, everyone. That is how you add the GDEMU to your Dreamcast. It was very simple. The whole thing is just plug and play. I think it was a total of like 7 screws, and 3 of them you didn't even need after the fact because they went to the old disk drive. So very easy to install, very easy to add games onto the SD card. And if you don't have a really big SD card, they give you an extra slot there. That way you can store one there. Maybe you have, homebrews on one and official titles on the other. Now, I will say I do not endorse piracy of any kind. I will not tell anyone where I got the ROMs, and the ROMs that I showed in this video are games that I do legally own. I am all for having legal backups of all of your games. That way, if something ever happens, you still have a way to play it, especially because some of the games nowadays are insanely expensive, and if something happens to it. So keep in mind, piracy is illegal, and it hurts everyone in the long run, so just don't do it.
So what do batteries, LEDs, fans, and a power supply all have in common? Well, more upgrades. Hey, what's up everyone? Game Dad here, and we are back with the final part of my Ultimate Dreamcast series, where we are just modding the heck out of this thing. In part 1, we went ahead and ditched the old shell and got this like kind of opaque, clear-ish shell. And then in part 2, we went ahead and added the GDEMU mod, that's that guy right there, so that this will run off of SD cards. Now, in this video, we're going to have a mix of different mods. We are going to go ahead and upgrade the LED in it. We are going to upgrade the battery in it, and this one is an actual socket, that way the battery can just easily be replaced.
I went ahead and got a knock to a fan upgrade for it. So not only will it not be loud anymore, but it will be way more powerful. And then of course, we have the Dream PSU mod, and this replaces the gigantic brick of a power supply that is built into this thing, and this will also help on a lot of the heat that is generated by this. So we are going to dive in. We're going to open up this console, hopefully for the last time, and we are going to get all of these mods installed. And you'd be surprised, but they actually don't take that long to do. This one, for example, you just drop it in, the power supply one. I mean, that's really it. There's a little bit of soldering with a couple of these, but other than that, you just kind of plug the stuff in and you're good to go. So let's dive in and take a look at how to do all these mods. All right, so let's go ahead and flip this thing over, and we're gonna take this out yet again, hopefully for the last time. And we need to undo all 4 screws holding this together. So we got one there, and you know what? Just to bug Jay, I'm not going to use a screw tray this time. I did in part 2 because it bothered him in part 1, but I feel like I need to bug him again. So sorry, buddy, but that's just for you right there. See? They're not in a tray. You know what? I'm not even going to put them in a square, even though these are being pulled out in a square. So we're going to go right here. And speaking of square, the buddy Jay that I'm talking about is Jay over at Square Pigs. Y'all should definitely check out that dude's channel. He has been absolutely killing it lately. And if anyone watched the last video, you'll see no more painted nails. It was time to take it off. Let's see here. Let's get this final screw out. There we go. And boom. Not in a square, just for Jay. Now, let's flip this back over. We pop the lid off. Now, one of the upgrades that we are doing to this is the fan upgrade. One of the issues with the fan upgrade is this piece right here. This is the actual button to release and open the door. This gets in the way of the little 3D printed shroud that is on this. So there is a custom piece that allows for a nice little gap in there. There, see that gap? So that will be something that we'll need to do before we put this lid back on. But now that we're in the system, we are going to go ahead and unplug that, because that is unnecessary. We don't need that there anymore. We have 2 different screws that we're going to get rid of. So we're going to start with this one right here. You just undo that screw, and we actually won't need this screw for anything anymore, so we'll just kind of yoink it right off to the side. This one we will keep, because it will screw in the Dream PSU. And I will have links to all of these mods and where I got them down below. Some, if they come from Amazon, they'll be an affiliate link. If not from Amazon, then not an affiliate link. Okay, now we gotta undo a little tab on the side right there. There we go. And then we just pop it off its pins. And there we go. Now we can kind of just yeet this aside. And I don't know if I want to keep this or not. Do I want to keep this? Is this something I should keep? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Maybe. Let's see here. So, for the Dream PSU mod, here we have it right here. See these little pins? Yeah, you just line those up and yoink. Just push it down. Maybe. Get in your hole. There we go. So, now that that's down in there, we're going to go ahead and put one of these screws back. And we just go like this. Remember, always back the screw up a little bit. And after you have backed it up a little bit, then you can drive it back in where it goes. There we go. Helps to line it up a bit first, I suppose. Now, this is a little dongle that gets attached to this one spot right here. It has a nice little 3D printed action on there. Doesn't matter which way you orient it. You just kind of slide it into place. And then instead of having that power connector on the back, now you just have a little jack right there. And I just so happen to have a power supply for this right here. So that is definitely something there will be a link for. A bit of a pricey power supply, but I figured go with something a little nicer so it doesn't burn the system out. Okay, and now what I'll do, I will actually go ahead and just remove this. It's not necessary, and it's actually going to get in the way of me being able to get to this. This is the power switch connector. You're going to go ahead and doink, put that on right there. And I don't know if this is for like more mods or LEDs or something like that, but there are some extra connections on here. But yeah, I don't know.
So what we're going to do now is I think we are going to actually move on to doing these mods, and then we will do the fan mod afterwards. So we're going to replace this battery right here with an actual socketed battery, and then we're going to replace this little LED right here with a nice bright green one, because I figured, you know, why not? So first thing we need to do is remove the screws. So we're going to go ahead and do that. There are 4 screws holding in this whole controller port board. And again, I am not going to put them in the tray because I know it's going to bug Jay. Everyone down in the comments, if you feel so inclined, say, hey Jay, sorry that it bugged you. There we go. Got one more screw after this one. Luckily these are all the same size, so it's not something to really trip about. There we go. There. Now let's remove the little cable, and then we should just be able to pop this guy right out. Yes, maybe. Let's see. Perhaps. There it goes. And then we will disconnect the little cable right here. This is what the fan actually connects to. Now, we have a couple of different things here. We have the battery connection. Let me see if I can focus this in for all of you. So right here we have 3 little prongs. I need to desolder those to take this battery off and put the new socket on. And then underneath right here, these 2 guys right there, that is for that LED. And we're going to go ahead and slap a new LED in there. So what I'm going to do right now is desolder that. We're going to get this out of the way. I just so happen to have my soldering iron nice and hot and ready right here. So we're going to get that going. Let me go ahead and refocus this in for all of you. Now, what I'm going to do to desolder this, you could use an actual desoldering iron or whatever, but I am just going to apply some pressure, like pulling pressure on the battery, and then I am just going to touch these points, get that solder melted, and then go ahead and pull them out. There it is, boom. Old battery off. Now we need to solder on the socket for the other one. Alright, so it took a little bit of finagling to get it through one of the solder points right there, but now that it is actually through, I can go ahead and just touch it up with a little bit of solder and solidify those joints in there. So we just touch our iron right to it, and then let that solder flow. And the other point. Alright, and now that that battery socket is in place, we're going to go ahead and replace the little LED right there. And we're going to do the same process. We are just going to touch that solder right there, get it all nice and loosened up so that we can get rid of the existing LED. Okay, so just like with that battery socket right there, had some finicky old solder joints in there, but here is the new LED. We're gonna go ahead and make sure we insert this the right way, polarity matters, and we just kind of slide that down into place, and I'm gonna bend these out of the way. We're gonna go ahead and touch those solder points, and then I'll just be able to snip the excess off of this. So we're gonna go ahead and touch one side. And that is it for the solder point. So if we focus back in, I just need to snip those 2 little pieces off. Here are the 3 spots for the battery connection, 2 spots for that LED. And now that this is here, I can actually show you installing a new battery into this is super easy. We just take this, we have it marked positive on this side, negative on the other. So we just throw our battery in like this, and boom, new battery, good to go, won't screw with the clock anymore. Now that the controller port is all set, all good to go, we need to work on the fan mod. So what we're going to do is go ahead and take out the old fan. Got a couple of screws right here. Again, not putting them in a screw tray because I don't have to. There we go, a couple little guys right there. Then this slides out. Now, for comparison, here's the old fan. Sounds like a jet engine, terrible exhaust, 5 blades.
Here is the new fan. It is significantly larger, and this one actually has, what is that, 7 blades. And it is just, you know, nicer. Alright, so I have the little shroud installed right here. And what you do with this bad boy is you go ahead and put it in diagonally. It lines up with those same screw spots, and actually I need to take this out of my way because there's no way for me to get to that second screw spot yet. So I'm going to go ahead, move the fan out of the way. We're going to put this in place where it goes using the same 2 screws that it had before. See, screw trays aren't always necessary. I have it right here. Going to go ahead and line these up. Got one right here. Just like always when screwing into plastic, back it up, then drive it in. So those 2 are good to go. Oh, maybe almost got this one. There we go. So that new shroud is in. Now, it does matter which way you put the fan. There are arrows on it, and what I am doing is making it so that this is an exhaust fan. So this tells me that this fan blows this way. So, well, that's what I want to do. I want the fan to blow this way. So we put it like this, line up our little set screw for it. It just drives right in. Trying to do this left-handed. There we go, and that is in place. Now, it does come with a handy-dandy little adapter, so obviously we are going to use that. I wonder, can this go all the way around? No, I gotta kind of just tuck this all out of my way. That way it will be able to plug into the controller port. So we're gonna take this, drive it in right there, and that is in. Get our cable out of the way, and let's smush this back down to where it goes. There we go, that's in there. I'm gonna push that cable back in. That way it can actually communicate right. Okay, and now we have 4 screws to put back into place. So let's put those back. We got 2 outside screws and 2 inner screws surrounding these sets of controller ports. So we do a little back twist on that, and then we drive them in. Alright, now that that is all screwed in, I'm just going to get this kind of tucked out of the way. That way it's not going to hit the fan and get messed up or anything like that. So I'm just kind of tucking this wherever it's going to fit. Let's see here. Maybe if I route it this way. There we go. So we're just going to, there, just route that right underneath the GDEMU. So there, we have now upgraded the power supply, the battery holder, the LED, and the fan. So now the only thing left is, because of this fan upgrade, we need to do a mod to the lid. And more specifically, the mod that we need to do this lid is to this little button release latch thingy right here. So what we're going to do is go ahead and unhook the spring. We don't want to lose the spring. This one I actually will set in a specific way. That way I remember how it went. And then we got to undo these 2 screw spots. So there's one right there, and it apparently has a plastic washer. Don't want to lose that. And there's the screw. And we're going to get this other one. There's that screw and that washer. Now, the way this lines up, it should be essentially the same thing. I just need to be mindful of where it's attaching at. So there, we're going to line up our hook the same way. Mind you, there was no instructions with this at all. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, this is how I think it goes. And when I do that, let's see here. Alright, and to go with the theming of everything, it was a little finicky with this 3D printed part. It is definitely not as smooth as this injection molded piece, but if we go like this, we have the button, and it closes. That's the important thing. So, let's go ahead and put this back onto the console now. Go ahead and put this way. I'm going to slide this back into place. And
Sandwich it down just maybe. There we go. That is in place. Let's go ahead and test the button. Push it. Opens and closes just fine. Let's see. Yeah, you can't really see very well. If you truly look down underneath the button, that piece had to be cut out because the fan sitting at an actual like rotation like that is getting in the way of where the plastic piece was. So that's fine. We're gonna go ahead and throw all the screws back where they go, and then let's plug in the power cord and make sure it actually still turns on, yeah? All right, now that we got all 4 screws back in, pop that back in, and now on the back, you can see we have the different kind of power slot to it. Now, let's go ahead and plug this in and see if we get our new LED. So, plug that in, hit our power button, and look at that. That nice green LED on there now. That's awesome. Let's see if our fan is spinning. It is, and that thing is insanely quiet. Let's see if you guys can hear it. I don't know if you could hear it, but this thing is crazy quiet, and there is so much air being pumped out of this thing. That is awesome. Gotta love that green LED too. Well, there you have it, everyone. We are officially done making the Ultimate Dreamcast. Now, I will say there is one more mod that I would love to do to this someday, but right now it is stupid expensive, but that is the actual HDMI mod to this. Now, I have cables so that I can plug in via HDMI. It's not that big a deal, but it would be cool someday to be able to actually add that HDMI port to this system. But for now, it is done. We did a new shell. We did a new power on LED. We did the upgraded battery holder. We did the upgraded power unit, the upgraded fan, and of course, the nice new shell. So that for now is my Ultimate Dreamcast. Now, if you like today's video, or if you like this series as a whole, let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, please be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, as well as that little notification bell. That way you get an alert every time I've got a new video coming out.